Tráiganse gasolina, ¿verdad?
Everywhere around here, so, yeah. Anyway.
Neighborhood councils is not to be a small city council. It's to be a convener of public opinion. And it's to be a place where we do local problem solving. And to the extent that sometimes people say, you know, I'm going to get elected to my neighborhood council so that it is my voice that is the voice that gets heard at City Hall. That's the wrong reason for being on a neighborhood council board. One of the things that I like to say is the neighborhood council is not equal to the neighborhood council board. Neighborhood councils are the whole stakeholder body in a neighborhood. That could be 20,000, it could be 30,000, and yikes, some cases in LA it's over 100,000. And the point of having a board is to have a body that's responsible for the money and that is sort of the servant of the community to keep the thing working. You know, to create agendas, to convene meetings, to give people an opportunity to talk, to give people a means to come together and say, we've got some resources here, what do we want to do with them? To forward all of those opinions to a decision maker, whether it's a school board or the neighborhood or the city council or your state representative. Who you can talk to isn't limited. But the idea, if you have 60% of a community that cares about a land use issue, for example, in one way, they're, say, for it, whatever it is, and 40% are against it, it's not a job of the board to say, we're for it, and so we're the only voices that get heard. It's a matter of going to the city council and saying, you know, we convened a meeting and 60% said this and 40% said that. And some of the places where we agreed were this, this, and this.
Excellent, Karen.
That's the way we get the voices of the community heard. It's not by saying, I got elected and so I'm not letting anybody's voice but mine be heard. That's not the purpose of a neighborhood council. And I think to the extent that we've gotten trapped into that way of thinking, of saying, I had to get elected, so I'm like a city council member and my job is to make the decisions for my community, we've lost the reason for having a neighborhood council. And so I guess one of the messages that I want to carry is, let's make the point again, trying to be the place where we collect the voices of the community and share them with whoever needs to hear it, whether it's the city council, the mayor, the school board, the governor. Share the sense of the people with the people who are actually elected by us to make those decisions. And the people who get elected to the boards become the caretakers of the process. They're the people whose job it is to see that everybody gets heard. And if you think of it in that way, there's no point for fights over elections anymore, you know? Because it's not one group trying to keep the other group out. It's saying, look here, we're opening our arms and welcoming everybody in. And to the extent we can do that, we will have something going in LA that doesn't exist anywhere else in the country. Because we will be doing that. Now that's happening in some small ways in some small communities. But if we can make it happen here, we will be the leaders of democratic participation in the United States. And wouldn't that be an awesome thing to say, I live in the city that does the best job of hearing the people of anybody in the United States. That's what made me take this job.
I'm impressed, Carol, that you can remember the basic understanding of neighborhood councils, and I can appreciate the comments you made with regard to maintaining the spirit and intent of the citywide system of neighborhood councils. I remember when you were out there on the lines of Legal Rock, and we were going through all of these issues, and Betsy and Ruby and several others, Art, several others that were here, and we were talking about the spirit and intent of the neighborhood council systems. And I'm looking forward to getting back to the basic rudimentary understandings of neighborhood councils. And that is in the advisory capacity purpose, to outreach, to bring in stakeholders of all diversities to understand what we're talking about as far as community. And I'm a firm believer that the board must represent the community. It must represent the community in culture and diversity. And I think that's perfect, and I hope that the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment will embrace that, because the community must represent itself at the board level and in decision-making capacity. And I love the fact that you remembered that. And when you were saying these ideas, I remember that's the reason why I got it done. And I hope we can get back to those basic understandings